From the province of the rising sun, Mpumalanga, to the Premier Soccer League's biggest stages and the continent's brightest light, he has been the heartbeat of every midfield that he's stepped into. He makes it look so easy in the middle of the park, come under pressure and sharp with every pass. And you also look into how fearless he is with every tackle. Well, he's gone on to make sure that he lifts trophies, rocks crazy hairstyles and stacks up lots of tattoos. But one thing is certain is that he has earned the respect of fans, players and coaches across the country. He started off his journey at Remember FC, and that's where the spark was lit. Went over to Jomo Cosmos and they saw more than just a player, more than talent. They saw a leader as they trusted him with the captain's armband. He then went over to Bidvest, Wits, and while that is a club that was overflowing with talent in the midfield, but he still managed to rise, contribute and still shine. He now shares his experience, his hunger and his class at Sekhukhune United. My name is Clauiee Grace Mpanza. Always alongside me is my favorite influencer, Mahlatse Mphahlele. And today on the Arena Sports Show is one that's very close to home, as we're joined by a friend, a brother to me, who I've known for years. And when you look into off the pitch, solid, on the pitch, unshakable. Thabang Monare joins us today, and we're absolutely looking forward to, of course, getting to know him just a little bit better. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. And thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, I know we've been planning this for how many years now?
It's been long, eh? It's been a very long time, but everything happens at the right time. So I think that we're here today and we have to be here today. I think that's
100% influencer. You changed your schedule. You said there's no way you're going to not miss this once-off conversation with Gavin Desh.
Yeah, we've been chasing for a while now.
Yeah, I know.
Not that he didn't want to come. We couldn't align the diaries properly.
Yeah.
It's good that he's here. You know,
I mean, we're recording at 6 p.m., right? So that shows that we had to change things around.
Yeah. We're moving things around.
But Nare, I mean, pre-season now, perhaps talk to us about off-season, how that has been for you, before you talk to us about how pre-season is going.
well, off-season is always for the family, you know, and actually the off-season, that's where you actually got hit by reality, you know, of how hard you work as a footballer, you know, how you have limited time with family, you know. So that's the time where you get to spend with the family and the kids, you know. But that's the kind of reality that hits you in pre-season, you know, and I mean off-season, and also when it's time to leave, it becomes a problem. But yeah, we rested, you know, we're fresh and we're looking forward to the pre-season.
Do you feel your age off-season? Because during the season you always behave, or you've got an engine of a 16-year-old. So off-season, do you behave your age?
Well, I think this off-season I behaved my age, actually. You know, I was always at home. I was always playing PlayStation. You know, I'd wake up, sleep as much as I can. I'd wake up in the afternoon and go to the gym, you know. So yeah, I think I really behaved my age this time.
You don't overindulge. You don't overindulge with food, and you know also how much of a discipline you need to keep, because you know you may go back not really in the right condition.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the part that I think I've never lacked, and also I'm lucky with my genetics that my body doesn't really, you know, blow up. But it's very important that you keep a balanced diet. You know, you keep active, because as a footballer, actually, for me as a footballer, is off season. It just says that you just have the luxury to train whenever you want, but you still train. You know, you're still active. So that's the luxury you have. For me, you know, in my understanding as a professional athlete, that off-season doesn't mean that you're going to sit and eat whatever you want. It means that you are going to be active, but at your own time. I think that's the luxury.
Can you just be honest? They give you guys programs.
Yes,
you guys follow that program to a T, or you cheating on a year?
Well, I follow it to the T. Well, I follow it to the T. I follow it to the T. You know, because it's a danger to myself, because I always see myself as a person who has a heart to want to do things, and at this point in time I know what my body can do, and it has to be fit to do that. Because when you come, the dangers of the off season is that if you are not active and you come back to the pre-season, it's hard. There's hard running, and you know what your body can do, but it has to be at a certain level of fitness. But if now you are not there and you're still trying to do what you think you can do, then that's when you break a muscle, you get injured, and because you need the body for the character or for the heart. You need that body to carry you to that level.
Discipline.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely important. And then we also know that, I mean, off-season also is a bit of a tough one for your colleagues in the space, because some, they get offloaded off their contracts, sometimes teams don't renew, then now you're looking for a new home. How do you also navigate that, especially when it's a new club as well, you know, as teammates, you know that, I won't be with this person again next season?
Yeah, it's very sad, because we are more than family, because I see these people, I spend time with these people more than my family, you know, so we become brothers. And when that time comes, you know, for us to separate, it's hard. And also with how life is, you know, some players wouldn't maybe know where their next home is, you know, and that's livelihood. So it becomes very, you know, stressful also for the ones that are remaining, you understand, and because we are humans before footballers, you know, so, but I guess, as they say, that, you know, life and, you know, things happen the way that they do, but it's something that is not really, you know, pleasant or nice to see. But, you know, it's all good when maybe it's greener pastures, you know, that's all well and good.
So with this thing of releasing of players, do you think maybe, or how can it be handled by both parties, the player or the player representatives and the club? Because sometimes clubs just dump, you know, they tell you today that, no, we don't want you anymore. Maybe sometimes you need to be told in advance so you can start looking. And how must both parties navigate around the situation? Because it can be very tricky.
I think the best way is to be told in advance. As our contract says, that 6 months before the end of the contract, you know, you can sign a pre-contract elsewhere. So I think that is the time when maybe they can sit down with the player and say, look, we're not going to be needing you for the next season, you know, so that you have time also, you know, to look for your next home. So I think that's fair for the player and, you know, the team itself. But looking at the player's situation, then I'd say it's very fair for the player, you know, to have enough time to go and look elsewhere for a new home.
But it doesn't always happen, which is, we find it is very unfair on the players sometimes. You know, you reach the 6 months and the club is not saying anything. You don't know, you know,
Yeah.
you don't know what to do.
Yes.
And it can be very tricky.
It is. It's very tricky, because you need to understand that some of us are fully invested in the game. You know, we are fully invested in the game, and this is not a hobby. This is our jobs, you understand? So as we treat it like that, I think we should be treated like that in return, you know, so that people understand that this is our livelihoods, this is our lives, you know, we have families and we rely on this, you understand? No matter how much money you have outside football, but you work towards what you have. And for you to plan otherwise, you need to know, you know, in advance that, look, this is not going to happen. Maybe in 6 months, I'm not going to be in this position, you know. That makes you to plan better.
And there can also be mental health issues around.
Yeah, for sure.
If you are, you know, you don't know what's going on.
Yes. Yep.
That can be also a big problem.
Yeah. Yep.
It definitely can. And then on the flip side of that script, you have to look into, I think, the positive news that we saw the past few days. Paul Pogba, how emotional he was.
Yeah.
When he was signing a contract. And I know you love Pogba.
Yes.
So talk to us about, you know, when something like that happens from a player's perspective. Because for me, I was just so happy just to see him as well, being emotional about him being back to the game.
Look, if you ask any player, they were very emotional. If you'd ask any player, they were very emotional about that, because any player could find themselves in that situation, you know, and sometimes things happen so fast that you don't understand what had happened, you know. And in all honesty, when you're a person that is out there, you know, you're on TV and you're well known, you know, you meet a lot of people along the way, and unfortunately you lose track of reality, where you meet everyone that is smiling, you know, and you forget that some people smile because you are that person that they see on TV, you know, that footballer. And when everything goes away, when you lose everything, that's when the real reality hits you, that a lot of people actually would come closer because of, certain things or certain excess that they have when they're around you, So, yeah, and in all honesty, that is going, it's going to, keep on happening, it's going to keep on happening, because he also was talking about gigs that he didn't get, and these people work like that. I mean, it's the big one, and if you're not, who's next? So that's the reality we live in, but I'm very, very, very happy for Paul. I hope also he goes bigger from there, I still believe he has a lot, to give, he has a lot to offer in Europe. So, yeah, I think, and he has the character, judging from, you're not a France captain he has that character, and I think he has a lot to play for, actually.
There's, I guess for any sportsman or sports woman, if you've been out for such a long time, obviously he was not just sitting doing nothing, he was working.
Yes.
Working fit. Guys of his situation have got money to get specialized people to help. But can he really get back to sort of, the level that he was before he got banned?
Well, I think he can, because also it's also a matter of time, because as a footballer you get fit with playing, because a friendly game and an official match is two different games. There's a lot at stake this side, and you can make mistakes that side. So mentally, when you can be as professional as you want, but the approach is different. When you approach a friendly game, and when you approach and because I try by all means to always switch on for the session, for for the friendlies. But at the end of the day, you're a human. You understand what's going on. You can see that, okay, this is a friendly match. But I think with him playing, he's going to get back. It's just a matter of time. It's just that we shouldn't really expect to see him now. He hasn't been playing in competitively in a very long time. But I think with time, he's going to climb and go back to the Paul that we know.
Can we agree that Manchester United never deserved Paul Pogba?
Well, I love the club, but I'm going to have to agree. Unfortunately, I'm going to agree.
Yeah, because they blamed him for everything.
Yeah, and I think also I'm sorry, but we lowered his standard. Yeah. We made him. We didn't make him look like the Pogba that we know. And I think also, watching that club also, I've seen that. I think right now that's our speciality. We do that, because I watch the players that we have right now, and watch them where they were playing before. Yeah. The exceptional players. You have now Anthony playing at Betis. He's doing well. Yeah. And look, it can't be a fluke. It can't, because all the players that we have, if you look where they come from, like those are good players. Yeah. So I don't know.
There's something.
Yeah, I can't help
it's depressing me.
I
don't even look. I just watch. I just watch them on live score now. I don't.
You don't watch.
They depress me. You and you know this.
I know, that's how I find out. Now, when we look into pre-season for you, right, and how important it is, I'm glad we're done with off-season, but pre-season, and in terms of the work that you put in, I'm also interested in the clubs that you've played. Which one has been the most intense? And I ask this because when you talk about Jomo Cosmos, you will always hear about how tough it was. We had Lyndon Double here, and he was talking about, hey, go Braje, you work, like pre-season is special at Jomo Cosmos. Which one has been challenging for you?
Well, for me, I think it was Wits.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it was Wits. I never thought in my entire career I would have cramps in a training session. Yeah. A training session. Yeah. So my first season there, obviously it's pre-season. We haven't done anything hectic yet. Mm-hmm. We just started playing small-sided at a very high intensity, and I cramped. And guys looked at me and said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I'm cramping, imagine. This has never happened to me." And then they said, "Imagine we haven't done anything." I said, "So there's more to this." They said, brother, pace yourself. So from then, I went from training to home because I was ready now for the storm, and it came, and it did come, you know. So I think that was the hardest preseason that I've ever had. We went to Stellenbosch at the time. We did our preseason in Stellenbosch. So I think where we stayed and where we trained in gym, I think it was 7-8 kilometers away. So we would wake up in the morning at 5, jog to the gym. The gym is there. We jog to the gym. We do aerobics, weights, strength, you can name it.
Yeah.
We jog back. And mind you, that time we didn't have proper breakfast. We'd have like, you know, finger foods before we go there. Oh, now we jog back to have proper breakfast now. You have proper breakfast, you go rest for an hour or two, and then you go train on the field. You go back to rest again, you go play a friendly at 3.
Sure.
Imagine you do that for 7 good days, every day, consecutively.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die.
I remember
I
those.
thought-
Actually, you're like,
But
yeah,
actually,
bro.
that's what I've learned. Like in that, you learn that like the body is a phenomenal. You know, like a body can do whatever that it's told or trained to do. You understand? So if you put your body under tremendous stress, you know, every day, your body would, it would adapt to it and say, hey. It's like, it's like if you go and stay in Europe, like you from here, it's hot here, it's warm. You go and stay in Europe and it's cold every day. Your body says, hey, here, when I wake up, it's always, no, let me, you know, something changes. But that's what I'm saying, like the body it's a phenomenal, it's a very underrated. The body is very underrated, you know, so that's when I saw that, look, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. You know, it's possible because the first 3 days, it was hectic for me. But I just kept on going and, you know, it ended up being not easy, but I ended up being stronger. Yeah.
Hence the cups.
Yes, I guess that's fascinating insights. But just tell me, I've been told that generally 6 weeks is good for preseason, you know. But for you, having done it over and over and over again, what makes for a good preseason, and how long does it take? Like for you, from day 1 to day number last, to say, no, I'm ready for the season.
I think it all depends with the foundation. You know, that's why you get programs to do, you know, during the off season. So I think if you come back with a proper base, I think 4 weeks. You know, of preseason is, you know, because don't forget, it's not just about running.
Yeah.
Also, the coach has to work on his tactics. You know, how we're going to play, how we're going to shape up. You know, the philosophy. You know, because it becomes more difficult nowadays because football is more. It's more learning, you know, than just running. Because the thing is, if you get super fit with no idea or information, then, you know, where are we going? You know, because where are you going to run to? You know, because also coaches also want you fresh for them to come and explain to you how they want to play, how you understand, because all that comes with you being fresh, you know. So it's becoming very, you know, difficult for coaches nowadays because they have to run you to a certain extent so that you can still grasp information, you know, because if I'm sitting here and I'm finished, then there's nothing you're going to get from me, you know. So it's a matter of, you know, balancing it, you know, finding balance. So that's why it's very important for us also as players to help the coaches in terms of like doing this preseason, these off-season programs, you know, so that when we come back, it's not fully focusing on the fitness side of the game. It's also focusing on how you're going to play, the role that I want you to play in a season, you know, so it makes it easier. So we help each other.
And then also that becomes important, the synergy between fitness trainers, the coach, and the player. And also, sometimes the spanner can be thrown in the works by players who arrive late for preseason, because maybe they were signed late or there were issues and whatever. How do you now, if you are a player who does not start with the rest of the guys and find them in the middle of preseason, or doesn't have preseason at all?
Look, it's like building a house with no foundation. Might look beautiful, but when the rain comes, the storm, it's gonna fall. You know, because that's where you build yourself. That's where, if you go around and check players, people that have won, like Player of the Season awards, you know, and ask them, or like check their background, how was their preseason, you'll actually see how hard they worked. That's where that foundation comes. You know, that's a proper foundation. You know, it will last you until the end of the season, until off-season. So, hence also with the injuries sometimes, that's what causes injuries. If you have a preseason that is, you know, you are out there, you are in there, you know, if you don't have that base, you know, you are fragile. You're fragile. You know, if we sprint, you tear muscle, you're out for 2 to 4 days, you come back, you are left behind. You know, you are left behind, and when the season starts, you know, you come in, exactly how your preseason is, that's exactly how your season will be. You know, if you were in and out, that's exactly how it's going to be.
You talk about role, Nare, and I think that's important, because when you look into your career as well, there was a point where at a certain club you were questioned about not being involved too much into the box, where you were used as more defensive
Yes,
midfielder,
yes.
and you have been criticized for that. How do you take that when you know that, yes, I can, of course, be more offensive, but my coach right now needs me to be a bit more defensive? How do you handle the criticism from us and also the understanding from your coach?
Look, at the end of the day, that's why it's very important for one to be a team player. You know, every player should be a team player, because games are not the same, the approach is not the same, you know, and sometimes you are being signed by a club for a different reason than what you have in your head, you know. But what's best is when they sit you down and tell you that, okay, this is what we are expected of you, would be expected of you, and this is your task, you know. So with me at that time, maybe for the first few weeks, you know, it frustrated me, because, you know, sometimes you're standing there, you can see an opportunity, you're like, oh, but I can go there. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're playing for a team and they need you in that certain position, you know. So it was just a matter of anyone that asked, I would go in, I would explain to them that, no, like, this is what's happening, you know. And the importance also of being coachable as a player. I think that's one thing also that we lack, and what I've seen also about like European players. Those guys can be coached, like they grasp information. So that's the difference also that we have. So it's very important also as a player to be coachable. I think that also gives you longevity, you know, in the game, when you are coachable, when you can have a proper understanding also of the game. But if you are coachable, then, you know, you will automatically have that understanding of the game, because if the coach says, okay, Thabang, sit here, you know, this is what I want out of you from for this game, and you are able to do it, you know, and we grow in this game, and, you know, sometimes you do not have the same energy that you had before. Now you can be used as maybe a number 6, or you can be used as a center back if you're coachable, you know. So that also gives you that longevity to be in the game for you know, a while.
Says the 16-year-old stuck in the 35-year-old.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned European players. I want to check, maybe it's a two-pronged question anyway. So now we've just finished the FIFA Club World Cup now. Won one, I think drew one and lost the other one.
Yeah.
What did you make of the performance there? And also, what do you think of the gap between South African players, or players playing in South Africa, and the rest of the world?
Look, I would first, you know, take my hat off, you know, for Sundowns, you know, for being in that level, for getting into that level and competing the way that they did. You know, I think for our standards, they represented us, and, you know, they did well. They did well according to our standards. But in there, you know, in Europe, it's a different level. You know, if you're speaking about the gap, you know, because I think that also I think justice does watching European players or European clubs playing in Europe on TV doesn't do us any justice. You know, I think you have to be on the same field with these people and play against them. And that's when you'll actually see how they think, see the intensity at how they move, and see the consistency of how they do things, you know. So that's the difference. So the difference is, if you say to Thabang, drive the ball there, exactly on that area, I would drive it. I'll drive it, it gets there. I'll drive it, it goes sideways. I'll drive it, it gets there. Drive it, it goes up, you know. But the difference with them is that they would do it over and over again. So they do basics consistently, so like in a consecutive way. Like they can do, like if you say, drive the ball there, you know, it might seem like it's a simple thing to do, but can you do it at the same speed, at a certain speed, you know? So that's the difference, and I think that also comes with development. I think they come with it from a very young age. They come far with it from a very young age.
And you have been with Bafana. You've been against some of the top players. What are sort of some of the learnings that you've learned playing against like the top players?
I think in everything, what I have learned, especially when we played against France, what I've learned was that they are more like quicker than us in a very short, like in a short sprint. So in explosiveness, let alone like them being technical, and because that everyone can see, you know. But what gives them that edge besides that is them being explosive, you know. It's like every 60-40 becomes their ball. Maybe it's 60 for me and it's 40 for him. He'll get there before me. Yeah. You understand? So they're very explosive, very, very explosive, you know, in movement and, you know, let alone any other thing, them being coached, but in any duel, like they're very explosive.
They're explosive.
Hey, they're very explosive. Yo. They're very, very explosive. Yeah. So that's the difference. So it's like, if you are marking a Thabang, if I run to that ball, we might get there at the same time, or I might get there before you, and you get there and I can't turn. But if you are running maybe with a Griezmann, by the time you are here, he's already turned, he's facing you. You know, he's already turned, he's facing you. Like, hey, okay, now come. You understand? So it was... Bro, like, and it's, I don't know how to explain the level, but it's just...
Yeah, and also the other disadvantage you have, also, I mean, maybe us here, when you play against a team like France, you are disadvantaged by the language also, because when they are talking, you would necessarily don't understand what they are saying.
No, it's just like them also. When we are talking, they don't understand us.
Yeah.
So...
But also for them, because they've got an advantage over you, because they are just good.
Yeah, yes,
you can pick up some a small detail, like maybe listening to what they're saying, so that you can try and cover yourself. Yeah,
but can I be honest also, ne? Like, I don't recall in that match hearing like player's voice. That's how it was very loud. It was very loud, and also how they were synced, you know, how they moved, synchronized them, you know. And hence I'm saying I didn't hear a voice from anyone, you know, like. They're so good that it's like they know someone has to be, you know. If we are playing in a certain way, they know that, okay, if I'm facing here, Tracy has to be behind me, you know. So if the ball comes and I skip it, he has to be there. So it's like they can play blindfold. So, yeah.
It's a higher level, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's completely different. And I mean, you talk about development, right? And I'm interested in your career, where you think you got the best coaching. And I ask this because I remember there was a certain coach in the Premier Soccer League, and he was like, the biggest problem I'm having is having to try and teach basics to senior players. Yeah. So for you, when did you get where you think, okay, I think I've unlocked something good here, I'm at a good space in this club, and with which coach?
Look, in terms of that, I think I got that because with every coach that have coached me, you know, it's coaches that I've learned a lot from, and they are good. They're all good in coaching in their own way. You understand? If I can tell you like the specifics about the coaches that coached me, I'll tell you that Jomo helped me believe in myself in how he coached. Jomo would tell me that, hey, Labe center. hey, you are better than these people. You understand what I'm saying? And that, makes you believe in yourself that actually, I'm also good. I can do this, And then Gavin taught me how to win. Gavin taught me how to win. That at the end of the day, Thabang, let me tell you, my boy, no one is going to write how you won. Everyone is going to write that you won. It's like now when with that the introduction, you mentioned trophies, but he didn't mention how we won those trophies. So that's what Gavin taught me, that the important part is that you win. You must be able to find a way to win. You understand?
But there's no space for comments in the results call.
Yeah. Yes, and I was also coached by Coach Kurt in at FCAK, and he taught me how to believe, like, in the process of the team, in how the team wants you to play, no matter the score, but believe in what we're doing. Which makes sense because sometimes we are losing, and I want to carry the team. Now I mess up the whole structure of the team. You understand? Because now I want to carry the team. So that's what he taught me. And then with Coach Rivero, like, he made me understand the game. Don't just play. Have an understanding. Ask me, why, coach, are you putting me there? Why do you want me to move like this? You understand? So he gave me that understanding, of saying, okay, don't just do things because I say you must do them. If you don't understand, ask me, why am I doing this? And when that now is being explained, now you get to understand that, oh, okay. And sometimes you see things that you've never seen before, that maybe I moved too much. Sometimes as a midfielder, you move too much. Now it's like if the ball is there and then there's 3 players defending 4 players of ours. Why am I going there? We already have numerical superiority there. So I don't have to be there. So just wait there. They have to find you so that we gain ground. So that's when now you get now to understand that, okay, that's why certain things are being done, and So yeah, I think every coach that coached me played a huge role, in my career. And actually, I was looking at this maybe when I was at home. Actually, now in the off-season, I was like, actually, every coach that coached me played a huge part, because I've learned things that I've carried over, where they don't teach it there, but I already have it, and it just becomes that book that's being written, new chapters and chapters and chapters as I move.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about coaching. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
They say a good coach, you judge it by how he coaches the players, how he improves the players.
Yes, for sure, for
if
sure.
the players give feedback from what the coaches are doing for them in the midst of coaches, especially what you're saying about Coach Rivero. I always say, I used to watch Mona Pule and Salem play, and I never really understood. But he worked with Coach Rivero, and you could see the improvements there.
Yes.
Mahopa is another one. Mahopa was just a player who was running around, don't know what they're doing. Go to Pirates, they get improved. It's not the coaching where you used to come into the dressing room and say, hey, gents, we must go rush them, eh?
Yeah, because with him,
because
with him, it's more of, you must understand what I make you do. Even from a fitness side of it. So he worked with a guy called Michel, He explains every exercise that he makes you do. He explains that, okay. And I think also, that's the thing with players, Players would do something and they would do it at their best when they are well informed about it. When players, like if you say to players, go there, stretch, or do this, they'll just do it because you said. You understand? And to find that the form is bad, and but because you said it. But if you explain to them and say, okay, guys, when you do this exercise, I want you to feel it here because it's stretching there, so that you understand. And then that's when players engage and say, oh, okay, let's do this. And now you start, like you're feeling it. You're like, oh yeah, because like a lot of people,
you can actually even do it better or well.
You understand?
Not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, because like I've learned also there that a lot of times, a lot of exercises, I was just doing them, but I don't know what I was doing.
Which muscle are you
Which
focusing
muscle?
on?
Yeah, which muscle are you focusing
And it's
on?
helping you with what?
He's helping you with what? You understand? And you just sitting there, but you have to maybe tuck in so that you can feel, the glute or maybe the hamstring, But because you're not well informed, now you're just doing it because you are at work, So I think also that's the problem that we have also as players. There's this stereotypical thing that footballers are, and for me, because we spend a lot of time with the guys, I think with that it's just that, unfortunately, intelligence it's measured with, English, and that's not the case. We cannot speak the language properly, and we do not come from there. If a boy from Embalenhle who didn't go to a private school gets out of his comfort zone, which is his mother tongue, to learn, a foreign language, and becoming better in speaking it is something else. But learn in terms of understanding if you can't speak it. I mean, that's gold. For me, that's gold, because if you look at a lot of guys, footballers, we don't come from good backgrounds. We don't come from, financially stable backgrounds.
And it doesn't mean if you can't speak English.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're sitting with a lot of guys, we're playing with a lot of guys that they're not that, in terms of articulating themselves in English, But in their mother tongue, you can see that this guy is clever.
And they're talented sports people.
Yeah, you can see that this guy is is clever about life itself, But unfortunately, we are in an era where you have to present yourself in a certain language for us to put you in a certain level, But like a lot of guys, and even from back then, But unfortunately, we judge people based on how they, articulate themselves in a certain language.
How he plays, you'd also think he's a youngster.
Yeah,
Dash is
true.
also probably turning 36 later in the year. But you see how he plays, how he runs.
And igugisham.
Unokungitshela Figo, yabona generation yethu yokugcina to have players like us. Usho kanjalo athi singabokugcina, we are the last breed. And these boys, they can't compete with us.
Sure.
Figo, these boys, they can't. And that's before the match. He says they can't. We are going to win every battle here in the midfield. Angeke basenze nix. Angithi uyazi, and then like yo, khulumile manje skip. But Dash was my skip at Cosmos. And that's how he used to speak. Like manje ukhulumile skip. Namele ngithatha instructions. They cannot work us. So yeah, that's Dash for you.
Well, one has to marvel at the relationship, of course, between Linda Mtambo and Thabang Monare. And Desh, since I have you here, I remember Brad J also at some point was like, you and Figo, so much better than Opa Manisa and your friend.
Yeah. Hence I've said earlier that that's the part of the things that Mr. Sono has said that made one believe in himself. I mean, at the time when you look at it, it was a far-fetched thing for Mr. Sono to say, but when you look at it, he's trying to, motivate you, trying to make you believe that if you're not at that level, you can get to that level. You have the abilities to get to that level. So he was more of a coach that works in you believing in yourself, believing that if you believe, then you can achieve. So he was more of that kind of a person. Well, he is more of that kind of a person.
Your relationship with Figo, I mean, once you were captaining him, now he's captaining you. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've met a brother, with Linda. Not that I think I've met a brother. I have met a brother with Linda. I mean, we share a lot of, common things, like mutual things, me and him. And
and phone calls, because sometimes when I get the answers and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
So yeah, we show a lot of mutual stuff with Linda, and funny enough, when he came to Cosmos, I was there already, and I just liked him, and I'm not that kind of a person, to be honest. At the time, I was not that kind of a person that would, but when he came, I just felt like, you know, I don't know. I felt like I'm clicking with him, and I felt like, you know, and he was one player that I felt also on the field that I know I can work for this one.
Yeah.
This one, if he can just run around and score for us, me, I will defend here, you know. So I think our energy is connected well, if I may. Yeah.
And then now, how's he as your captain?
Like, I don't, I even forget that sometimes because there's no difference. You know, there's no him showing that he's captain or me showing that I was captain. It's just, we are natural, you know. It's just that how we carry ourselves, you know, that makes us leaders, you know, that makes us leaders, where there's not much that Linda has to do different for, you know, it's effortless. It's effortless for him. He's the same person. It's him. He's like that, you know, so there's no extra work for him to say he wants to be a captain, you know. He has, you know, those attributes of being a captain, you know. He's a leader. He's driven. He's a winner, you know. He's a motivator. So, yeah.
How's the dressing room? And I ask this because I follow some of your teammates, Mahlatse Mphahlele as well. When you rock up looking stylish, Figo rocks up looking stylish, and they just like, hey, they're violence today. So how's the dressing room for you? And perhaps if you could share like a funny story that you've experienced at Sekhukhune and that dressing room.
When Linda, I think I even posted about this. When Linda, I don't know where were his flip-flops. So he was wearing, because normally when we go for a video, we don't wear our boots. So because we walk on tiling, you know, on tiling, on cement. So we'd wear like our kit, and then we'd wear like flip-flops or like running shoes to walk to the meeting room. So Linda had no flip-flops. He had no running shoes. He was wearing formal shoes.
Sure.
And he wore a kit and formal shoes. So I even took a video. So he was trying to hide it, and he said, "Please don't post this. Thabang, what are you doing?" And I didn't want to post it as my friend, you know. I didn't want to post it, but every time I looked at it, you know,
You thought we deserved
I thought the people deserve it. Give the people what they want. I give the people what they want.
Thank you for your service.
So yeah, that was funny. That was very funny.
So it's interesting you say that you gave us what we want, right? And you do this with your close friends. Ben Mutwari was also another one that,
Yeah.
and I'll say abused because I remember talking to Ben and I was like, please talk to your friend. He abuses me. Talk to us about that relationship with Ben and really why you abused him so much. I mean, at some point he was like, your lock screen, won't loop at Ben and
You see, Ben. Ben, I would like to say value Ben. Yeah, I would say I would Ben make him abuser because, like, at some point Ben would try to run away from me, the whole of Rand Stadium. But I'll still find a way. I'll still find a way, Uchi. You know, I'll find him. And then every time I find him, it's a funny story. So it's in the morning when Ben comes in, and then he would be doing his own stuff. Every time I'd call him, he'd be, Ben, Thabang Funane. I'm like, but I'm not that much of a problem, Ben. Come on. So he'd run away from me. Yeah. So he stopped sitting next to me, you know, in our dinner or breakfast table at the hotel. But I kept on following him, you know, because like I found joy in my friend, you know. I found joy in my friend having that, you know, having that Thabang Funane. You know, I love that with my close friends. And Nolinda, we do have those moments, you know. Stesh. And that's, when you say that to me, like I hear the opposite, unfortunately.
The wise go the other side.
So, yeah.
All right, cool. And maybe let's touch on brotherhood a little bit since we've touched on Ben and Figo. And we'll go to Wits. And I say Wits because I think that's where we saw a lot of it as well, where it built up a major as well, and now major joined you there, and you guys were so troublesome, and I said troublesome off the field, because that partnership, I remember Gomo was like, talk to your friend. And I'm like, I don't know what to him. But then, talk to us about that brotherhood that you formed at Wits. And I mean, you talk about how tough it was pre-season, but then there was also that unity as teammates.
Yeah. Yeah, look, in football also we spend a lot of time together more than our families, and there's people that, share the same ideas, and those people eventually going to like click with them, somehow, because I think also with Major we shared a lot of, common things, mutual stuff, and we had the same vision of life itself, so yeah, we became friends, and it was effortless, to be around Major till today, it's effortless to be around Major. It's like,
you guys sound alike, by the way. I was saying the same thing. I'm like, you, Aubrey, Thabang sound the same.
It's effortless. Like I cannot see Major maybe for a good month, and then I'll meet Major somewhere, and then we'll just start laughing, and so that tells you a lot, even though we don't speak for a very long time, but we still have that, connection. I'm sure he sent me something funny on Instagram today.
Yeah.
He sends that to me every single day. So, that's the kind of friendship that, and also when I look at my friends, like they all have, I can't pick it out though. I can't pick it up. I can't specifically point it out, but they all have the same thing, that we all have the same, I don't know what it is, but we have it. Maybe it's, I don't know, being crazy, I don't know. Being clowns. Clowns, yeah.
And then when you talk Wits, right, and the training sessions, how that was, and I'll always, I don't know if you follow Thabang long enough, there's a training session at Wits, and this mastered this beautiful free kick, and I thought, sure, it stays rent-free till today. Talk to us about really that position back then and how it was. And maybe, I know Gavin always pushed you, and he would never say, that's good. There was always more that you had to give with Coach Gavin.
I played my entire career at Wits trying to prove Gavin that I'm a good player.
Yeah.
And it worked for him, because that's actually what he wants. He would never come to me and say, Thabang, you had a good game. I was playing for him to say that. And he never did. He probably said it to himself. But to play mind games with me, to keep improving me, Gavin, I would have a game that I think is a game of my life. Gavin would come and point out a few things. Come on, take a shot when you're there, man. Thabang, you hopeless, man. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? But I'm trying. What? So if this is not enough for this guy, like what? I'm going to run out, And as time went, and then I started realizing, I'm like, nah, And at that time, it's instilled in you now, It's in your veins. It's part of you. There's no going back. It worked for you. You saw it working for you and working for the coach and the club and the team. You've seen it working. So now you're like, oh, this guy has been doing this. He's been playing mind games with me, but it's good. Now I'm here. I can only grow from here.
What was the locker room like at Wits? If you had to, draw a picture for us, and perhaps if it could be like a little bit of a fly, as to you walk in, because there's also traditions within teams, right? So what was the tradition? You get there. I don't know. Some teams say that the first jersey there, that's the skipper's. How was it at Wits?
Yeah, with us also it was like that. The first jersey was the skipper, and other than that, it was just like, and there was no culture. There was no specific things about, but we had a culture. Wits had a culture, but in the change room there was no culture where, like we say, maybe there's a small superstitious thing that maybe we were doing. No, it was just anyone just doing his own thing until the time comes we're about to, walk out. Then that's when we'll start singing. Headphones down, and that's when we'll start singing. But it was a club that had a very, there was a lot of unity. The change room the energy in the change room was beautiful. That club had a lot of unity, and that club was run by players. That club was run by players. So we would never have you know, individual, you know, ill discipline, because even before Gavin hears about it, we have already sorted it out, you know. We've already sorted it out, and it's really up to the accused if it's the easy way or the hard way. It's really up to him, you know. But that team was run by, you know, us as players, where Gavin always said that this is your team. If you don't run this team, no one will.
For sure.
You know, you just have to run it properly. You know, where we instill discipline. If you do something wrong, you account to it. You know, get the deserved punishment or fine or whatever, or disciplinary channels that they put you through. But I think that's why Gavin will always opt for senior players, because he's seen it work, you know, and he has this thing of making senior players understand what he wants, and they just push it down to the players. You know, I was one of those players that came there. I came at Wits, I was not a senior player at the time. There were senior players, people that were above me, and looking at them, you know, and seeing how they carried themselves and how things are done, you know, you just fall into place. So I think the biggest that's the biggest thing also in football, that experience is what the team is, the foundation of the club. Because no one told me any rules at Wits. No one told me that here we don't do this, here we do this, you know. Like, it's just that I saw your Dankleys, Munib, Bongani Kumalo, you know, Stephen Pinar. These people come early at training, they're at the gym. Hey, who are you, my brother? You must be there before them.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? So you fall into that. So they create a system that if you are not part of it, it will kick you out. It will show that you're not part of this train. You know, you will fall off.
How was it then being in that change room with the likes of Dane that you mentioned? Like, if you could share a special moment with us, because I know you looked up to him, you know, and winning trophies with him was also pretty fun. But besides Dane, the other senior players and the likes of 10-10 as well, which is a marvel to watch.
Look,
I know I've just asked you 2 questions in one.
we were blessed. Yeah, we were like, well, let me say, for me as an individual to be in that kind of a setup, you know, it was a blessing, you know, because at some point you would look and ask yourself, like, what do I really deserve to be here? You know, look at these people, you know, we're just watching Dane on TV the other day, and Moni, Bongani Kumalo, Stephen Pinar, your Pelembes.
You need to tell me a funny moment though with Slim God, because he seems like quite the character.
Yo, you know. So I once drove a Polo, right? You remember that white one? So I had the downpipe installed in that car. So it was making noise. It was doing a verpa. So Monip came with I don't know if it was a smaller vehicle, you know, like, you know, this portable nice cars. He came with that car, but it doesn't have an exhaust, like, it's a nice car. And then he called me, he says, Thabang. I said, yeah, what's going on, Monip? It was after training. He says, you know that my car has power more than yours? And I said, no, I don't think so. He says, okay, listen to this. He puts the car in neutral. So he presses the car, you know, the engine, and it goes woo, woo, and then he says it with his mouth, pa, pa, woo.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, cool. Yeah.
And the thing is that he did it longer than what he should have. You know, he just kept on doing it.
And you thought, no,
Like,
it's enough, bruh.
And it just drove off like nothing happened. With Nib. So we had everything in the change room. Like, we had everything. We had a pastor also.
Who was the pastor?
Bushem Kwanas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a pastor, Bushem Kwanas. So he would tell us how we need to repent, and, you know, and all that. You know, so we had
What was your role?
a clown.
Oh, you were a clown.
Yeah, I was a clown, the biggest clown. I was the biggest clown.
You still are. So
Yeah, well, I
You
mean,
still wear that hat quite well.
yeah, for sure. Matured even.
Matured down. All right, cool. And then now, when you talk about, I mean, you've achieved so much in your career, and we talk about your hair, and I remember this has always been a conversation, you know, as to sometimes people judge you based on your hair and how serious they can take you.
Yes.
Talk to us about that, and if you also, perhaps a coach once came to you and said, nah, you can't be blonde, we gotta take it all off.
Yeah, Gavin once said that.
How did that come about?
No, he just told me, he said, I don't want that in my team. He just told me that I don't want that in my team. I didn't ask why, you know. I just said, okay, coach, it's fine. I'll fix it. But, you know, you also can't blame that narrative, you know, about the blonde hair, especially in the football space, because in the past, apparently, there were a lot of players that were problems had blonde hair, you know. But when you look at it, like in my view, is that sit down and talk to me, you know. Whether I have a cheese cup or I have braids like you know, I don't think hair does that much, you know, in terms of how I think or how I carry myself or who I want to be in future, you know. I think, yeah, you know, I mean, I also love to, you know, play around with my hair, and hence I bought into a barber shop, you know, because I just want to, you know. So I actually bought into things that I like, you know, also with a tattoo shop, you know, in Embalenhle, in Casa, and SK Barber Shop. So I bought into these things because, you know, hence like people will ask like, Thabang, I'm a tattoo angara, Thabang, am I so tired? And I'm like,
shocked to see tattoos all the way close to your ankle right now. So yeah.
so yeah, you know, I loved things that, you know, I was fortunate to, you know, buy into them. You know, that's the thing. When I love something, I just, you know, and also especially when it comes to the barbershop, I bought into the barbershop because I'm impatient, you know.
Yes.
You know, so I stopped going to, you know, a certain barbershop and then wait. And it's not that you even wait for, you know, too long, but I don't know, my you know, my impatience. So I was like, you know what? And then I met the right person, SK, and then he guided me. It's like, bro, let's partner into this. Let's own a barbershop. And yeah.
And then you're also a tattooing artist. I've seen you inking up a few of your clients. How's that going?
To be quite honest with you, that was just a photo shoot. You know, I'm not on that level yet. I'm not on that level yet. And
believe everything we see on socials.
please, you know. So yeah, you know, there's guys there. You know, there's guys there that do a fantastic job. There's guys that do a fantastic job. So
do you remember your first ink by any chance?
Yeah, I do.
Which one is it?
I do. You won't see it now. I think I had stars here. This is one of those stars going up to here. This was the first ink that I got, and when I got home, my mom saw it. So he thought maybe I was dirty. He was like, Thabang yini manje lena? Thabang.
What was your response?
I didn't say anything because I knew she you know, she didn't like them. So you know, but I had the bravery to do it because at the time I was like, but I'm working now, mom. You know, like I think I'm old enough to
Which club was
to
that?
make my own decision at Cosmos.
Cosmos.
I was at Cosmos. I was like, now I'm old enough. I think maybe, you know, but obviously she's still my mom. You know, I just kept quiet. Yini. Send little Wayne later.
What's your name?
Little Wayne.
Love your mom.
I didn't say anything. I just kept quiet.
But you know what's also important? There's also a tattoo that I designed them. So you must never ever forget that part. And I think that's my favorite.
This one.
Yeah. I'm glad you know which one I designed. Okay, cool. Moving on with the tattoos. We also then, of course, look into your social media, which is also quite interesting. Talk to us about your love for that. And I mean, you do the skits as well on TikTok and especially the ones where you were harassing Ben back then. What was going on in your life at that time?
I don't know. Like I just had a lot of time in my hands, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, because
Actually, it started during COVID, no?
COVID, yeah. Started during COVID. So, you know, I just had a lot of time in my hands and a phone and data. So It's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, you know, I had that, and a lot of people actually tell me, "Hey, Thabang, like you should do comedy or whatever," you know, because I don't know, I don't know why they think that, and well, I think I know, but you know, I just say it around them. I'm just comfortable around them to, you know, be the kind of person that I am.
Yeah.
You know, it would take a lot for me to stand in front of a lot of people I don't know to be a clown that I am. So for now, I'm still comfortable in being a clown, you know, in private.
It's interesting you say that. The influencer actually thought that you were arrogant. I was like, no, he pretends to be shy when you don't know him. Talk to us about that.
No,
first
I don't really
impression.
pretend to be shy. Like, to be quite honest, like I'm shy around people that I'm not, you know, used to. Like I'm shy. I don't know. Like when I tell people that, people think I'm lying, and I'm like, guys, me. Like when I'm not familiar with that environment of people, like I'm shy. I'll just, you know, reserve myself until maybe that time where I feel comfortable. But I'd like to think that I'm shy. Like I sometimes like it. It takes a toll on me. Sometimes sometimes it gets to me, where like I just don't even know what to say.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
No, because you're always talking.
Yeah, with you.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'll just put you in a space where no one knows you.
Exactly,
and see what
you'll be
happens.
shocked.
Yeah, no.
I'll start playing on my. I'll start acting like I'm on the phone, Gandhi. I don't even have data. I'm just so that I don't look lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that I don't look lost. That time I'm just looking. I just have the phone for show. You know, I'm just looking. So yeah.
All right, cool. We'll test it out. And then when it comes to, just to wrap it up, your football, South African football, your opinion of it. I mean, we see Sundowns. I saw someone on Twitter saying that at this point, I think Mahlatse Sundowns is going to win until I've got grandkids. And I was like, offensive. But what do you make of the league and South African football?
Look, right now,
Yeah.
ne, I'm going to talk about my club, my team.
Yeah.
That, look, we are going to compete. You know, right now I don't stand in a position of, you know, agreeing or disagreeing, because the numbers are there.
Yeah.
The numbers are there that, you know, Sundowns have done it. So it's only normal and it's only fair for them to keep believing. You understand? If also I was in that kind of a situation, it's only fair for me to keep believing. You know, it's happened numerous times, you know, so it's only fair to keep believing. And it's also our duty, you know, as I'm speaking on behalf of Sekhukhune, it's also our duty to say, look, we are going to compete. You understand? So I think right now I'm in a position where I can say I'm in a club that is going to compete.
It can't be top four again, because you guys have done top four back to back. So now it needs to go.
It needs to go.
Yeah.
It needs to go, because at the end of the day, it's improvement.
Yeah.
You know, improvement is numbers.
Yeah.
And if numbers are the same, that's consistency. But we need improvement this time. You know, we've shown that, okay, we can be consistent.
Yeah.
But now can we get another level of consistency? Can we get to another level of consistency? You know, and that's the real test. Which reminds me of one thing that Gavin said the other day. We are still celebrating the league. And you know what this guy said? He said to me, "Are you a champion?" I said, "Yes, coach, I am a champion." He said, "No, I don't think so." I said, "Coach, what do you mean? Here's a trophy." He said, "True championship is coming back and doing it again." What?
Gosh.
That, and I felt that, and it made sense. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Like, can you win when people know you are a winner? That's true championship. Can you win when you are a team to beat?
Yeah. And that's consistency, Nari.
That's consistency. Yeah.
Because and that's the other thing that when we talk about you, is that that's what you bring. Game in, game out. When you're playing the so-called small team, you're still showing up. You're not only showing up for big games only. Talk to us about that consistency as a footballer, personally, to make sure that you're always present.
I always say that games are overrated. and sessions are underrated.
Sure.
So that's how I train. That's how I train. Like, you can ask anyone or anywhere where I played. That's how I train. Like, I run, or if there's anything that has to be done at training, I do it. I try and do it at the highest intensity so that I lose my breath at training, so that the game becomes more easier.
Yeah.
You understand? So if I do that at training, in the game I don't have to worry. I just show up, and everything that I've prepared and everything that I've done at training, it just comes out. You know, so I always think that we look at games as if, you know, they are the feeder. No. The feeder is training. The feeder of the game is training. So take care of training, take care of your sessions, take care of the sprints that you do, take care of your strength work, take care of your endurance at training. Like, don't you are not going to run at 5 kilometers per hour at training and suddenly get to the game and run at 50 or 30, or, you know. So you have to try and break your legs or your muscles or what at training for you to, you know, take it to the game. So I think with the consistency, it's not about the matches, it's about the sessions, how you train. I think that's where the secret is. Like, train the way you want to play.
I remember having a conversation with a former footballer, and he alluded to the fact that it's interesting how at training sessions, Clauiee is not, you know, showing up the way she's supposed to be, and then come game day, now I want to try a different move, and it's just like, but bro, we didn't try this at training.
Yeah.
Why do you want to try this in a game now?
Yeah.
And you're exposing all of us. Have you had that encounter and now that conversation with your teammates to say, if we didn't try it, let's not do it on game day?
Yeah, it's all like it's always the case, which is what the coaches also stress about, that this is what we did at training. Why now it didn't happen in the game? You understand? Why now it didn't happen in the game? And you find that sometimes it's more of a mental thing, whereby when you do something in a session, it's you just we spoke about this earlier. You just do it because they are telling you that you should do it.
Oh, yeah.
You understand? You should do it with your emotions there. You should do it with your mentality there. You know, you should do it in a way that you do understand why you're doing it. You know, so that when it gets to the game, it becomes much easier. You know, I think when you are that's why they say knowledge is power. You know, when you know, then it gives you, you know, that information as to, okay, I need to do this for me to, you know, be like that.
And then underrated is a term that when you talk Thabang Monare is, I think some of your former teammates, your friends will use. How do you feel about it? Where, I mean, everyone knows that you're great, right? And that you're this talented and this consistent, hardworking footballer. But then in terms of the rating, do you think that sometimes people don't see it?
Look, a long time ago, I've gotten to a point, you know, I've gotten into, you know, a phase where there's different kinds of players, right? There's different kinds of players. Like a player like Sergio Busquets is that player that when he's not playing, that's when you'll actually see that, Ivan, why now is Barcelona a bit shaky there? You understand what I'm saying? But when he's there, Barcelona is flowing, but you don't see, you know. So a long time ago, I came to a realization that, look, maybe I am that kind of a player, but all that I need is for me to be understood by my teammates. If my team understands, you know, the value or the presence that I bring within the club, I think that's all that matters, you know. For me, that's all that matters. And also, I am more of a team player, you know. I'm more of a player that would want to be in a team that, you know, wins, a team that is doing well, you know. I mean, individual accolades, not so much, you know, but I really want to be in a team that wants to win trophies, a team that is competitive, you know. So as long as the whole team is doing well, like whether you see me or not, it's okay.
It's all good. All right. I asked Figo this about underrated players. In your opinion, who are some of the underrated players in our league?
Who's underrated? Wait, I'll tell you. Bandile Shandu.
Shandu.
I think Bandile Shandu is
Have you once said that to me?
I think Bandile Shandu is very underrated as a fullback. like when you play with him, ne, the way he thinks, like Bandile, I think, is very underrated. Evidence Makgopa is very underrated.
Sure.
I think Bradley Grobler, we don't talk much about his that is lethal. I would say he has everything a striker needs, but I don't think we have spoken about him enough. He's a top striker.
Yeah.
And at the time also, I think Buhle Mkhwanazi was underrated. Top centre back. Yeah, I think right now I would.
On the top of your
Yeah, on the top of my head. On the
Yeah.
top of my head right now, yeah, I would.
I'm surprised you're not adding Specifically Ndlovu on your list because I
Spare.
remember we once spoke about him.
Spare is
Yeah.
underrated. Spare is underrated. Because the thing is, unfortunately, the game is like that. There are players that are going to be seen by people they play against and people they play with. There's players that are going to be seen by those people to say, this guy.
Yeah.
You understand? Because being highly rated is when everyone, including the fans, players including the fans, say, hey, you understand?
Yeah.
But it would take a lot out of the fans. It would take a lot of understanding, which I think there's a few that understand that football to that certain level to see that Maphelele made Zidane. Do you understand? It would take a few, unless it's someone that really understands the game. And, fans are more into scoring goals, dribbles, and, the exciting part of the game.
Yeah.
And who takes care of, the ugly side of the game, the tackling, the organizing, so yeah, that's football.
Share a little bit what makes Pace special, and I'll ask you this because I remember we once spoke about it and how training with him also where you realized how special of a player he was or he is.
What was he can read not just the game, he analyzes players. Like he knows what players are comfortable in doing.
Yeah.
Like he knows what players are comfortable in doing. Like he knows that if you receive the ball there, you're going to do this. If you receive the ball there, you're going to do this. So I didn't like playing against him at training. Like it's like he was living inside me, inside my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? And then he would laugh. He says, Nyakwas. Like he's from now, when you watch him play, that's when you can see and tell that a player can actually read the game.
Yeah.
And that's all you need in football to be the best that you can be. Once you can read the game, it's done. You look at interceptions.
Yeah.
Look at Space's interceptions. Look at from now on, just look at his interceptions, the number of interceptions, or if you are lucky to see videos, look at how those interceptions are. Like, he's very good at reading the game. Like, very, very, very good.
All right. So you mentioned training. You didn't like training against him. Now game time. Which team and which player? When you said, "Oh my goodness, okay, we're facing Clauiee FC. I'm not looking forward to having to play against Mahlatse there."
Mshishi,
Shika's brilliant.
Manyama.
Oh yeah.
Look, other guys gave me nightmares. There's guys that gave me problems.
Yeah.
So you understand what I'm saying? And then there was Manyama, and then there was Shika. Those ones gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
Playing against those guys was justice. They're smart, man, too clever. They have the football brains. They're too clever. Like they look you in the eyes. when you look, he's standing there. You're looking at him. He's looking at you. You are defending him.
Yeah.
You look. The last time you saw him is there. When you press, how the man is receiving the ball here now. How my brother. But I thought we made eye contact. That you stay there, I go there. Now why you go there? Because that eye contact was saying, stay there. I'm gonna come and attend to you. I'm still going there. Now suddenly you are there. Now you are scoring, my brother. My brother, what was the agreement? So yeah, you know, very, very, very clever. But yeah, I think for me right now, those two.
But you're close with Manyama. So then what was the conversation after a game where he gave you a bit of trouble?
No, we don't talk.
Oh, you don't talk after that game?
Especially, I'm unfair, but I mean, hey. So when I lose, we don't talk. I don't talk to them. Yeah, I just smize them. They call me, just block them for a day, and then I'll talk to them tomorrow when I'm fine. You know, I think that's the personality that I carry. And then you find people like, Nabo Lebu, you know, Abo Opri, like Abo Shika, you know, they have that, you know, emotional intelligence of, you know. But me, with my friends, I was like,
no, you are quite emotional. I know. And then lastly, before we wrap it up, your ultimate footballer. Who's your favorite ultimate footballer that you...
Andres Iniesta.
Okay, let's try it like a kaya before you go overseas.
Ultimate?
Yeah, like here at home, who was a marvel to watch, even when you were growing up, maybe.
Who was a marvel to watch?
Yeah.
Roger Fetumba.
Oh, the general influencer. Yeah.
That guy. That guy.
Influencer is dancing right now.
And I was too young to understand how that guy plays. Roger Fetumba. And I think I saw Modiba. I think I saw him wearing Ichis La Fetumba.
Sure.
I think he posted.
Yes, I remember. Yes, he did.
So much ngifuna ngihlanganisele ore asho nangaba ngekakhona ngilanding inkani.
Postman, deliver, please.
Postman ngeke ngambona alipostile on Instagram. I was like, hey, Postman uthatha bleaches. Yeah, that guy was, and it's crazy because there was a guy also on a podcast who was talking about him.
Yeah.
Ukuthi what nakafika lapha ku Sundowns bathi wayenzi. So yangisho yazi thina amaplace South Africa mawufika sinokunyatha sithi awusho ukuthi ntwana lo awumphase bathi baliphasa walitrepa ngentamo walibeka edolweni walibeka phansi. That guy, like for me, and I was too young to understand the game like that because that guy was good.
He was special.
He was special, very special.
When I talked to the influencer, I remember he talks about an incident where he says that there was a player where he was like, I'm not going to pass you anymore because all my balls that I pass you take it on the other side and now you're chowing my money. So this is not going to work for you. And I thought, man, it's just that, you know, that confidence to say that, okay, cool, if you're not going to assist me, I'm going to try and find a different way.
Yeah.
With you, have you experienced that? You know, I know you said you're a team player, but where you see about Chloe's the weakest link in the team and is costing the team. Do you approach Chloe in that instance? Yeah,
like obviously I would approach to help. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we need them. We need everyone. Because if we don't have, 11 players at their best, then we have 10. And they have 11. So first of all, the numbers, even if you are lucky to win it on the day, at what cost? You understand? Like you're gonna have maybe to run the hardest, and it's only normal to run the hardest if maybe you're a man down. Yeah. But now if you are 11 players and there's maybe a Thabang who's not doing much, is there, you can only, you know, help to say, hey, Thabang, wake up, bro. Come on. You understand? Because at the end of the day, you are a teammate.
Yeah.
We need you. And it happens to everyone. You know, sometimes you are just doing everything and it's just not enough for the day.
And some footballers, as you once said, some get away with murder and it's okay.
It's good. It's okay.
And that's going to be a conversation that you're going to post your career.
It's okay. It's okay. That's why we have forensic, because some people at some point got away with murder, but now this forensic, people are employed, I guess.
It's done. I think we're close to an hour and a half or two. I don't know, but I think we've reached. And I know there's still stuff that we didn't talk about, but I think we've run out of time.
Yeah, I think speaking of close, I feel very close to my couch also right now, just relaxing and maybe watching cartoons or something.
Oh, that's what you want to go do now?
Yeah, I think that's what I want to go do. I mean, I'm a couch guy these days, you know, always at home playing PlayStation online, and yeah, so.
It's good. I think especially where you come from, I'm happy with this couch version of you, because you lived, my friend. You really lived. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. It would be an absolute sin to close this show without bringing back my influencer so he can tell us the story about Roger, because that's one thing that he loves. And I'm so glad that Dash, of course, chose Roger as his ultimate player. I'm sure you're smiling like a kid
you
right
know
now.
your stuff.
Yeah, that guy was...
Roger.
that guy was...
Number 10.
Yeah.
So we had Gavin Hunt here.
Yeah.
He says that when Roger, you know, in the dressing room when he arrived, they wanted to give him a jersey number. They gave him a random number. And then he said to Freddy Zungu, Bra Freddy, Doza, he said, no, 10. So Doza said, but we don't have 10.
Hey, that's bold.
No, give him 10.
Hey, that's bold.
I know, right?
Well, so when you go to the pitch, they were doing the rondo there.
Oh, this is my favorite story. Rondo, yes.
So fire, it was fire. Russell Mulefe and Temba and them, you know, they used to try and check if which I has check.
Yeah, like footballers do. Yeah, what a moves.
Taka, har check your more room na tina. Warpa, arta. What the fire? One of our Muga Jamoga do more. Well, about to move. Yeah, that's very fast. Why? Yeah, no, he was. No, he was something else. Yeah.
Hey, that guy was unbelievable.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Did you guys ever test someone before we go?
Ever?
Tested a footballer?
Like, it doesn't really happen nowadays.
Yeah.
It doesn't. No,
Yeah,
it doesn't
plus
really.
these days don't have that.
Yeah,
charisma.
right now, lightly. Yeah. I think we were the last breed to experience that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we are like slowly going out where you would go to a team. I remember I went to trial at Ajax under 19. So I walked in the change room. I came in late. I was not late because I came late. It's because like we flew in and then I had to go rest, and then they brought me in the change room late. And the guys didn't know. They didn't expect anyone. You know, it was just under 19. I think also Tyson was still there with the under 19s. I got there. I greet these guys. Hey, I won. The way they're looking at you, we won. Hey, you know. And the other guys now, they're changing now. They're putting on 6 stars. Like you can see, like you can sense that this is for me. Yeah. And let me tell you, when we go to that field,
You got to walk
and I wouldn't say it's a thing to do, you know, but I don't want to lie. It builds a part of you. You know, it builds a part of you. So, yeah.
If you weak, you can't make it.
Yeah.
You can't. And before we continue the interview, we just brought you here to say goodbye.
Yeah, no, we're done. I'm sorry, Dash, I had to, there was something I need to take care of.
Yeah, no problem. If you support Roger, I will forgive you.
Ah,
if
Roger.
we share that together,
You see,
I don't know.
the two best players I've seen, Roger and John Chusmshu.
And we are going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed the
Yeah,
sports
shoes.
show as much as we clearly did. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Cheers. Goodbye.
Ciao.